recipe for a cheap and easy and delicious soup. So we're going to make pea soup. We will talk about things, but let's get the onions on first. So we just need a little bit of water to start them cooking. I'm not going to use any oil or any fat, just a little bit of water just to start them steaming in the pan, like that. Turn the temperature down because I don't want to burn them. So what's going to happen is they're going to basically steam, cook instead of frying. So we just need a little bit of water just so they don't start to burn. As soon as they start to cook, they'll start to create their own steam, and that's what will help cook them. So lower heat and lid on so they steam. So dead easy soup. There is 350 grams of onions which I have peeled and sliced. So that's not the weight of the onions after I've peeled and sliced them. That was the weight of the onions before they were peeled and sliced. I've even used a little bit of root. That little bit of root has also gone into the soup as well, because there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you cut off the bits of dirt, it's fine. So 350 grams of onion. We're going to use 500 grams of these really cheap peas from the supermarket. I think they're 63p for a kilogram of peas. We're going to use 3 stock cubes. We're going to use 125 milliliters of full fat milk, and we're going to use 500 milliliters of water. All pretty straightforward. There's nothing wrong with these peas. I don't know why more people don't buy them. I think the only reason that they're cheap is because they will be odd sizes. So whereas your premium peas will be all of a uniform size, there'll be some big peas and some smaller peas in these bags. Also, maybe they want to when they pick peas and they pod them and they freeze them, they have to be done within a certain amount of a certain time frame. Like we're talking maybe only 2 hours. So maybe these peas haven't been frozen just quite in time to pass the strict quality test that they use. But anyway, the good peas, there's nothing wrong with them. Also at the same time, what we're going to do is we're going to have a bit of a lesson on seasoning. So 3 stock cubes might seem like a lot, but we're not going to put any salt in. We're going to use those stock cubes as a seasoning. And what you can do to teach yourself about seasoning, because I don't think people kind of quite understand how to season things properly, we'll make the soup. We'll add 1 stock cube. We'll puree it in, because we're gonna make a pureed soup. So what we can do is you can add 1 stock cube, completely mix it into the soup, and then you can taste it, and you can see how it tastes, and it'll be a bit bland. And then you can add 2 stock cubes, and you can see how 2 stock cubes vastly improves the flavour, and then you can add the 3rd stock cube if you dare. But I really suggest that you do it, and you will see how the soup changes again, and it will turn for something with 1 stock cube, which is a little bit bland, to 3 stock cubes, which will be absolutely delicious. So I can tell that the onions are starting to steam, so that's fine. So lid on, lower the heat, and they can steam quite slowly until they're nice and soft, and then we will add boiling water, bring it up to the boil, and then we'll add the peas, and then that'll be that. So we just need to wait for the onions to cook. Yeah, we'll talk about price. So I worked out that this soup, we're going to make about 1.3 litres of soup, and it's going to cost about 68p to make, which is really cheap, and there's about 4 good portions. They're certainly enough for a lunch or a snack. And team it with some, so that works out at a quarter of it is about 17p. So that's really cheap, really cheap. And then if you also added some like homemade toast from homemade bread, we're talking maybe 20p for a nice light lunch for you, which is well, I think it's a bargain. So that's it. So I think that's it. Yeah, we just need to wait for the onions to soften, and then we'll come back and we'll finish the soup. But it's quite easy. It's quite straightforward. You don't actually have to, if your chopping skills aren't particularly good with vegetables, what you can do is you can just peel the onion and then just add the onion into the pan with the right amount of water, and cook the onion that way until it's nice and tender. Lid on, and then cook the onion that way, even if you just cut it into quarters. And that will, just as long as you cook the onion through, so it's all nice and soft, so it'll blend with a stick blender like this one. relatively easy. You don't need to chop it fine. I just chopped it because I want to speed up the cooking process. So that's it for the moment, I'm sure. So the onion is now soft. I will just do the steam that way so it doesn't fog up the camera. Onion's nice and soft. So we have got boiling water because we want to speed up the process. So turn the heat up. 500 millilitres of water, and then lid back on just to get that up to proper boiling. And then we're going to put in the peas, and then we're going to bring that back up to the boil. Not the lid on. Because if you cook green vegetables with the lid on, they tend to lose colour, and we want to keep this as green as possible. So it's all about boiling the peas as quickly as possible, is this. So we're boiling, the lid can come off. 500 grams of frozen peas. Mix those around. And then we'll bring that back up to boil, and we will cook it until the peas are just cooked, but they are cooked already. Well, they're blanched really, but it's not going to take much to cook the peas, so that's fine. So we'll pause, and then we'll come back when they come back up to the boil and the peas are tender, which will take, I'll tell you how long it takes, but we don't need to watch peas boiling in a pan, do we? No. Right, so the peas have had 5 minutes of a good, hard, rapid boil, and they are now cooked. As you guys can see, these are cheap peas, so they're different sizes. So obviously the bigger ones are going to take a little bit longer to cook, but the way you can tell if they're cooked enough is just to squish them on the side of the pan. And if they squish easily on the side of the pan, you know that the blender is going to puree them up easily. So this is the part where we can learn a little bit about seasoning. So we can put one stock. If you taste that, at this point now, it's just bland pea oniony water. If anything, so we can add one stock cube in and get the blender in there. Try not to knock things over. So blend it in, and you want to blend the stock cube. So it actually, need to turn it on. So excuse noise, and we're going to blend the stock cube so it gets mixed in. I'll have lost a little bit because it was boiling for 5 minutes. We'll have lost a little bit of moisture, so we might just need to add a little bit more water just to thin it down. That's not a problem. So still nice and vibrant and green. Stock cube will have mixed in, so we can just taste a little bit of that, and flavour's improved, but it can be better. Maybe I should turn that off. So flavour will have improved, so we can add but it's still not nice. It's nice. It's all right. But we'll add the next stock cube. Blitz that. Blitz, not Blix. No, Blix. Where's I know that name from? But anyway, so we'll blitz that. And then we can taste again. So same spoon, obviously, but it's only me. So that tastes better. But we're going to add some milk. So we'll add milk. We'll add this stock cube, and then we'll add the milk, and it will bring it back up to the boil, and it will taste absolutely perfect. Will that? Obviously, if you're using stock cubes with like low salt stock cubes, you need to kind of compensate for that. So I would add 3 stock cubes and then add a little bit of salt. But I'm not these kind of cheap stock cubes. So it's going to be a little bit thick until we add more liquid, because this is the way the soups work. If you're making this and then you're going to cool it and you're going to eat it over a couple of days, I wouldn't add the milk. I'd only add the milk once you want to reheat it, because what happens with the milk is it wants to tend to split and the soup, and you have to reblend. So we'll put the milk in now. That'll be a little bit thinner. So as you can see, once I added that milk, which was more liquid, it certainly wants to become a lot smoother, a lot easier. Probably if you put it in a liquidizer, you wouldn't need to get down to a smooth consistency. But with something like a hand blender, it's all about kind of needing to get the right kind of volume of liquid into the soup to get it to the right kind of consistency that you want. So a little bit more. That's about right. So blend it out and then taste soup. There we go. Absolutely perfect. So, dead easy recipe, really cheap. You get, I'll just double check how much there is. That's a nice, you can make it thicker, you can make it thinner if you want. Obviously, just add less liquid, but I think about, and if you're using semi-skimmed milk or even like milk that's got even less fat in it, you want to add more milk to it as the volume, because you're relying on the fat in the milk to give you kind of creaminess. So if there's less fat in the milk, so it's not like whole milk, it's like semi-skimmed milk, you need to be adding a little bit more to kind of get the flavour kind of that you do. But I buy whole milk, so I wouldn't know how much exact semi-skimmed that we'd have to add. So that gives us, slightly light, so it gives us 1.2 litres worth of soup. So, but still, there's a little bit more in that. So 1.2 litres of soup, and for what was it? 68 pence. So I think that's really good. So as a light lunch with a bit of homemade bread turned into toast, that would be lovely. I'm going to make another video as well about one making like a pea and ham soup using the same kind of method, but I'll do that later. And also, but if you also want to kind of like bulk it out a little bit more, you could certainly a poached egg in that soup would be lovely. Certainly with some toast as well. That would be a really nice lunch with that, or a simple evening meal. So there we go. Easy pea soup for 68p, 4 portions, 17 pence each. That's really cheap, is that?